Former AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter could be returning to the company very soon. This according to a brand new report from FightfulSelect.com. And we're going to talk about everything we know about the situation. Where is Jamie Hayter? What is her potential return timetable? When could she return? And who could she face? All that and more coming up right here in this video. We're also going to talk about Tony Khan, who spoke about the potential for him and AEW to run a historic arena in New York City. Find out what arena it may be. All that much more coming up right here. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Let's get right into the report. This is an excerpt from the FightfulSelect.com report, Sean Ross Sapp and company, saying the following quote: "To sum it up, last year, the line of thinking was there were no timetables, plans, or even general outlines. There was at least discussions on the possibility of her, Jamie Hayter, return this year. Perhaps the most promising element of this was that there have been talent that have had matches pitched to them involving Hayter for a possible return. Thus far, those that we've spoken to close to her and AEW are confident that a return is in the cards." Again, for the full FightfulSelect.com story, be sure to check out the link in the description. That kind of chronicles how we've gotten here and all that kind of stuff, and really interesting information. But focusing on what I believe to be the key takeaway here is that there is a timetable not only for her return, but there are actively stories being pitched, or matches being pitched, which would involve Jamie Hayter becoming physical in the ring. Something we have not seen since AEW Double or Nothing 2023, over a year ago, when she lost that Women's World Championship at, you could argue, the height of her popularity. I've seldomly seen people rise like Jamie Hayter has and stay as consistently over as she was from Full Gear all the way through Double or Nothing 2023, because she just was on fire. She could do no wrong in the fans' eyes. And this is someone who has not been on North American television that much, to be honest, prior to her ascent in AEW. She debuted at some point, I believe, in 2022, and just came in and immediately became a fan favorite and got over because of her work in the ring and this aura and presence that she has. When Jamie Hayter steps into those ropes, you know that you are getting one of the best wrestlers in the world, and that's what got her over. That excitement, that aura, that adulation, it all played a key role into her rise in AEW, and it's going to play a especially key role when she does return. And I think that with All In season in full effect, they are announcing so many matches for All In. You have Swerve, Bryan Danielson, you have Toni Storm and Mariah May, and I think that Jamie Hayter is definitely a person that you would at least want appearing at All In. And if you ask me, I think that there are multiple different spots she could fit into. I would argue that one of the more compelling ways to have her return would be to do it at All In. And I know that people are going to be like, well, you're chasing a pop. That's not necessarily true, because and it's not inherently bad either, because when you look at it like this, right, you're going to have 50,000 people by the time All In rolls around, or more at that point. You're going to have around 50,000 people in that building at Wembley Stadium, and you're going to want that crowd to feel different, feel electric, feel excited. And I don't think anything, sans maybe, British Bulldog coming back to life, would get that London crowd more excited in that moment than Jamie Hayter returning and confronting the winner of the Toni Storm Mariah May match. I think that's how I would go about it. Or even, there's a direct tie-in if Mercedes Moné cheats to win against Britt Baker or whatever, and after the match she's celebrating, doing a beatdown on Britt Baker, there's the spot right there. Jamie Hayter coming in to save her friend Britt Baker, and we see that reuniting, or them reuniting, excuse me, at that pay-per-view. That could be a big moment, and from a business standpoint, it would be a big moment that you could, have promoted on your social media that would generate buzz about the pay-per-view, and you might get some late pay-per-view buys, some replay buys, and all that. And on top of that, you are giving your fans who paid to be there their money's worth. I, as one of those fans, I will really want my money's worth at that point. And also, you're setting the tone for the future, because now that people know Jamie Hayter is back, what is she going to do on Wednesday night? Well, tune in on Wednesday, because Jamie Hayter will be there, and she will be in the ring addressing her enemies, as the meme goes. But I think that, again, part of what has made the past few weeks of All Elite Wrestling really good is they've gotten back to the formula that worked for them in 2021, and that was make your shows unmissable, make sure that you have talent, big stars on your shows consistently, and make sure that they are actively involved in stories. And I think that after getting back Hangman Page, getting back Britt Baker, getting back MJF, next domino is Jamie Hayter. After that, of course, you have Kenny Omega, who hopefully will return at some point when he's healthy. And I think if you follow the same format and method that you're doing now, making these shows unmissable, and also making sure that, these returns, because these returns are acting in a lot of ways like, big debuts, or where AEW used to have big debuts and surprise debuts. I think surprise returns are becoming the new thing in that respect, and replacing what those used to be, because you can't really sign every single person off the street. We saw how that worked out for AEW in 2022 and 2023. So I think that getting Jamie Hayter back would be good from a business sense, from a storyline sense. There's so much you could do. Mercedes and Jamie Hayter needs to happen. There's speculation amongst the wrestling fans that it should happen this next week at Dynamite 250, which, look, they are promoting that as a massive, massive show. And they're giving us MJF versus Will Ospreay for the international title. There's that open challenge that Mercedes is doing, and then you also have Swerve Strickland versus Kazuchika Okada for the first time. And while I wouldn't be opposed to them just saying, hey, look, here's Jamie Hayter. She's back. Let's go. I think that is a surprise that you could probably hold on to for a while. And that's what I think they probably will do. If she's ready to go by September, I think you have her come back at least at All In and set that tone, get that pop, get that crowd energized, and let the people know that Jamie Hayter is here and she's ready to get that title back, because that's obviously where that's where you would think that she would want to be, in that AEW World Title picture, because remember, she has unfinished business with that belt. That's for damn sure. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Is Jamie Hayter going to be facing Mercedes Moné next week? I doubt it. I think that eventually that match is going to happen and it'll be big. But let me know in the comments as we move on to our next story. Let's talk about AEW and these arena shows they are running. So one of the biggest problems or criticisms that AEW has run into over the past year or so has been their crowds. The crowds have been diminishing. They are running large arenas, in some cases 20,000 seat arenas, and they're only selling 3,000 to 4,000 tickets. And look, 3,000 to 4,000 tickets, I think, is a lot more than people realize, because when you're touring 2 times a week and you're able to sell 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 tickets per show, that is an accomplishment, especially when you're number 2. When you're WWE, it's consistent, at least 7,000, 8,000 at the minimum. But when you're number 2 and you're doing it on a weekly basis, that is a really good thing. Now, AEW was doing way more than that, and business has cooled off in that respect. And I think one of the bigger issues with AEW has always been the marketing. Like, they have been really bad at marketing over the past year. Like, and as someone who works in marketing, who works in that like realm, it does frustrate me because, you know, like when the original what was it, the September, the Grand Slam show, when the original Grand Slam show was right around the corner, I was in New York and I like was seeing AEW stuff like all over the city. Like they let you know. And, you know, conversely, September this past year I was there, did not really see anything. Like, even like nothing. I wasn't even getting targeted ads as a wrestling fan in New York at the time, like to see that. So it was, I think their marketing needs to be better. Their local marketing especially needs to be better. And they need to be in these towns. They need to be, you know, like front and center. Like, up your marketing game. For God's sakes, when you're running these arenas, please they have so much good merch, AEW has. They have a lot of good merch if you go to their website. But none of it is ever available at these shows. They always have like their weak brand, I was there, AEW Dynamite shirt. Like, no one wants to buy that. You have some cool shirt designs. I don't know why I don't see them at these pay-per-views. Like, they always have these generic ones, but whenever I go, it's always like, oh, generic t-shirt 1, generic t-shirt 2, generic t-shirt 3. Like, they got to step up that merch game because I know for a fact they have good merch. They just do not use it. And that's part of the issue with AEW's marketing game. Now, one of the things that people have said they could do to remedy that is run smaller, more intimate, but also cool-looking arenas. Well, AEW president and founder Tony Khan was actually asked about this on the Sports Grid podcast, and he was asked specifically about running the Hammerstein Ballroom. He says, quote, "For the right event on the right night, Hammerstein Ballroom, could make a lot of sense. I'd imagine it would sell out very quickly because it's not the biggest room, but it is a fascinating setup and a cool-looking room." Now, of course, Hammerstein Ballroom holds, I believe, somewhere in the ballpark of 1,400 people at max capacity. And look, I believe that the AEW in the Hammerstein Ballroom, if you were to have like Dynamite in the Hammerstein Ballroom, the aura of that show would be special. And there are like a few places where wrestling feels special. For WWE, Madison Square Garden, Hoffman Estates in Chicago. Like, those are places where there's a history there. They've gone there so many times. They have an established fan base, and the arena, all of it is just, it feels different when they're there. Conversely, AEW, when they're in Jacksonville at Daly's Place, some of the best shows they've ever put on, of course they were there for like a year, but have been at Daly's Place, and Daly's Place has that special aura as a special wrestling location, venue. Hammerstein Ballroom for ECW was the same thing. Hammerstein Ballroom for ROH was the same thing. I could totally see them running an ROH show, but personally, I think AEW running shows at historic arenas, like run Collision at the ECW arena in Philadelphia, run the Hammerstein Ballroom, and make it like a bit of a thing. Like, hey man, like, we're running the Hammerstein Ballroom. Make it a big deal. Promote the hell out of it like 2 months in advance and make it a big show. Give it a nice feel so that next time when you come back and you do something special like that, you can charge tickets even more. I understand why they run these big arenas from a or I don't agree with it, but I understand why they run these big arenas. It's because the email lists for these arenas are very, very large. They have had people coming in for years for hockey, or hockey, basketball, etc. So their email list that they have gotten over the years is very large, and AEW like has access to be advertising all these emails. But we've seen how that's been working for them, and I don't mean stop running large arenas in hot cities. Like, continue like doing that for your big shows. Definitely run like those bigger arenas because you do a good job. You get at least 10,000 people at those shows. Like, remember, people forget this year AEW sold 16,000 plus tickets at a show in Greensboro for Sting's last match. So like, it's not like they never sell like more. They can't pack these places up in special occasions, but understand where you are, understand like where your fan base is. Ticket prices also, like, they've been getting better for AEW, but they were really bad for a while. And I think genuinely they turned a lot of people off. So I think they need to lower the ticket prices, start running these cooler like venues. Like give me AEW at like a music festival. Honestly, the fan. I mean, the interactions with the fans probably gonna be crap, but like give it a cool venue. Give me like like the old Bash at the Beach. Like I love the thing they did in the Jericho Cruise. Hell, do that again. Like think outside the box. Run Collision in the Mall of America. I want to see that. I don't even know if the Mall of America is still open at this point. Actually, no, I think it is, but hell, run it. They could use the business. Like I would not mind seeing that. And you don't have to do it on a weekly basis. I think generally they have to probably scale down the arenas they run, but man, just make it look cool, give it a different vibe. And if you give it a different vibe on TV, the experience is going to be enhanced. Like I'm going to be sitting at home watching, like I want to be part of that crowd. Like I like when AEW comes out, I want to be part of that crowd. Like that's a selling point for fans for the future too. So I would love to see them run the Hammerstein Ballroom. I would happily go and see them at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I would love to see them run other places as well. But is there a certain location you would like to see AEW run? Let me know in the comments section. Also, if you haven't already done so, do me a solid favor. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.